Are you ready to relive the past? Well, step right up. We have Atari, PlayStation, Nintendo, Sega. Get ready for a wild ride. Don't go anywhere, stay tuned. Get ready to take a trip down memory lane. That table can only mean one thing. We're going to be showing off my Sega Saturn collection. You can see here I have the Sega Genesis shirt right here. How awesome is that? This is pretty old. It's a little tight on me. I got a little bit fatter over the years. So let's show off some Sega Saturn stuff right here. Got my Sega Saturn controller right here ready to play some Sega Saturn games. Alright. Show off some of the loose games that we have here. And the first one being Rampage World Tour. Hopefully you can see that. Got Rampage World Tour. This is Revolution, I believe this is Revolution X. Let me see here. This is that weird Aerosmith game. I believe it's called Revolution X. But that's it right there. I don't have a case to it, but that is an American copy. And then we have a Starfighter for the Sega Saturn, which it's been a while since I played that. Then we got Off-Road Interceptor Extreme. Oh, we got Impact Racing. Now, Impact Racing is definitely one of my favorite racing games on Saturn. It's definitely much better than the PlayStation version, in my opinion. What a good game. Courier Crisis. Now, we never played this a lot on the PlayStation back in the day. So I do own the Sega Saturn version of that. We have Hexen for the Sega Saturn. Legend of Ulysses. These are mostly all American games right here. We have Gex. And that is definitely an American copy right there. Mass Destruction for the Sega Saturn. Battle Station. Lost World Jurassic Park. Let's see what else we got here. We got a lot of stuff. And we have an American and a Japanese Sega Saturn console. Brain Dead 13, which is one of those weird FMV weird games. Then here's one of my favorites right here, Blazing Dragons, point and click. What a great game this is. This is a good game right here. We got Andrade Racing. What a cool game that is. And then you have one of my favorites right here, especially the PlayStation version. NASCAR 98 for the Sega Saturn. Now I do know that, I'm not sure if you can do it on the Sega Saturn version, but on the PlayStation version you can shoot paintballs. If you enter a cheat code, of course. Enter a cheat code, you can shoot paintballs over the place, knock your opponent off track. Now we got Tunnel B1. It's a nice, cool 3D example of how good the Saturn is with 3D graphics. This game kind of reminded me of like a tech demo rather than a game, because it demonstrates how cool the 3D graphics were on Sega Saturn. Then you got Daytona USA Championship Edition right here. Thunderstrike. And we got, of course, the last two right here, WWF In Your House and WrestleMania the arcade game, loose copies. And the reason why I bought them loose is because buying the actual huge full-size cases and all that is expensive. So over the years, I bought loose copies and I put them in sleeves. I did have them inside of an actual booklet at one time, but I want to put them on my shelf, so I threw them into sleeves instead. So now, let's take a look at some long case American Sega Saturn games that I've collected over the years. We have Dark Savior, and the reason why I don't particularly like collecting long case games, it consumes a lot of space, and the cases are usually always beat up. You can see the game is in there, everything's good. Got the manual. This case is actually in okay shape compared to some of the other ones I have. Like this one's actually intact. And then we have Dragon Force. It's the granddaddy of them all right here, Dragon Force. And Dragon Force is... I might have put this into a different case, because I remember when I got this game, the case was definitely a lot more beat up than this. And you got the disc right there. Dragon Force, you got a really thick booklet. It's very hard to take out. It's going to stay in there because I don't know what's going on with that, but... Dragon Force, you got the strategy RPG quick printer right there. The actual label and the casing, the inserts, they're all shiny looking. They have that like shiny metallic look. Even the end label. That's actually pretty cool. Sega put a lot of effort into like making this game super special on the
graphics, and the graphic art is okay. Well, what makes it stand out is the shiny print, to say the least. Then we have Astal on the Sega Saturn. You can see right there, Astal. And this is one of those hidden gem platformers on the Sega Saturn. If you're looking for something that's 2D, pretty awesome, nice graphics, then you want to play Astal on the Sega Saturn. And this one still has its like styrofoam piece right there. This one's in pretty good shape. You can see on the inside it's advertising Bug for the Sega Saturn. Another platformer. And let's see what we got next. This is definitely a really good game. One thing that's really interesting about Astal, I don't know if I have a misprint copy or what, but if you look at the end label, it says Sega Saturn, but it doesn't have Astal on it, so it's like they forgot to print Astal on the end label. And I'm not sure if all copies have that, but mine does. It's kind of weird. Because if I put it on the shelf, you can't see what the game is, which makes absolutely no sense. And then we have Worldwide Soccer on the Sega Saturn right here. I never actually played this. I bought a huge lot one time, and I got a whole bunch of Sega Saturn games, and this is one of them right here. And you can see this is a great example of the typical long case Sega Saturn game, or PlayStation game for that matter. I think 3DO had cases like this also. Now this game needs to be cleaned, so I probably never bothered to clean this, but there's a ton of dust in here, so I'm going to put this one to the side. See, I really didn't care about this soccer game too much, so it's going to go to the side right here. And then we have a mystery RPG game right here. It's Mysteria, the Realm of Lore. Check out that. And this is another game that never played it. I'm not really a big RPG fan. The case, the manual, everything's right there. I'll have to pop this in and check this out sometime to see exactly what this game is. It does have backup capabilities. There is a backup. Excuse me. There's a backup cartridge up there, which I actually got with this game. There might be saved files on it still. And we have the next game right here, Shining Wisdom for the Sega Saturn, another RPG game. And this also has backup capabilities according to the back right here. 17 blocks. And according to the front right here, you can win $10,000. See detail inside. Let's open up the inside. Let's check that out. Win some $10,000 right here. Got the nice art on the CD. This actually looks really nice. Let's see if we can get this out. And check that out. That looks really nice.
Yeah, so somewhere inside the manual there's detail on how to win $10,000. So, got Road Rage. Or Road Rash, that is. Basically, it's Road Rage. Having a lot of Road Rage with this game. I always call this game Road Rage, I don't know why. But, it's Road Rash. And you're driving motorcycles around, you're beating the shit out of people, like, all over the place, you know, all that crazy stuff. If you've never played Road Rash, what are you missing? I mean, there's Road Rash on like every gaming console imaginable. Sega Saturn, PlayStation, Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo. So we got Road Rash. And then we got Bug. Bug on the Sega Saturn, check this out. Bug. And inside here we're definitely needs a cleaning. It's advertising Clockwork Knight, which I don't know if I have that game or not. I have a lot of Sega Saturn games. Most of my Sega Saturn games are Japanese, which I'm going to show off in a second. Then we have Bust a Move 2, the arcade game, which, as you can see here, something got busted. Lived up to its name right here, Bust a Move, so the actual top of the case is missing. And you got Bust a Move on the inside, and you still got the manual at least. You got the disc right there. It's pretty pathetic. Look at that. It's a nice puzzle game though. Then we have Sonic 3D Blast for the Sega Saturn. So definitely my favorite version of Sonic 3D Blast. I love the soundtrack. The graphics are definitely much improved. I know most people love the Sega Genesis version better, but oh my god. As you can see there, that's your typical long case right there. Check that out. And on the inside it's advertising Bug 2 and Nights into Dreams. Now Bug 2 is definitely really expensive to get hold of. I used to actually own Bug 2. And we got the back of the case right there. And as you can see, just about everything has an end label on it except for Astal. I don't know what the deal is with that game. And then last but not least, for American games, we have Center Ring Boxing, that is. Center Ring Boxing for the Sega Saturn. I don't think this is probably that great of a game, but I never actually played it. And yeah, Center Ring Boxing. And that is your American collection of Sega Saturn games, or my American collection of Sega Saturn games. Stay tuned, I'm gonna go grab the Japanese Sega Saturn games so you guys can see that a little bit at a time. There's a lot of those. So we're gonna move this out here. Whoa, where did everything go? Everything disappeared. What the hell? What the hell was that? Alright, so we have some Japanese Sega Saturn games right here. We have Virtual Cop. Check that out, Virtual Cop. And I love the small Japanese cases. They're standard CD cases. I wish that we had these over in North America. Eventually the PlayStation quickly switched to these cases over here in North America. Realized that the big ass cases are way too big. Virtual Cop 2, the Japanese copy right here for Sega Saturn. Virtual Go 96 was a soccer game. I've been collecting Sega Saturn games for probably 15 years. So there's a lot of Sega Saturn games here that I bought over the years. Virtual Fighter. And most of my games came off of eBay. Virtual Fighter 2. And I'm glad that I kind of bought these games back then because their prices are increasing. This Virtual Fighter Remix.
And then we got a Virtual Fighter Kids right here, so I got pretty much all the Virtual Fighter games. I do know that they have like Virtual Fighter Gallery discs also, where they show off pictures. I don't have any of those, I don't think. Panzer Dragoon. It's the first Panzer Dragoon game, and you see the disc right there? It looks pretty cool. Not the actual disc, but the case. The label art is really cool on this game. I'm definitely a huge fan of the label art. Let's put that there, right there. Then we got Wing Arms for the Sega Saturn, and this is like a 3D plane simulator shooter type thing. And most of these Japanese games are in super good shape compared to the American games. Over in Japan, they take better care of their stuff. We have Winter Heat for the Sega Saturn, and Winter Heat is one of those Winter Olympic games. And on the back it shows you like all the various different games you can play in there. We have Wipeout for the Sega Saturn, and there's so much more games available in Japan for the Sega Saturn than over in North America. It's actually quite embarrassing that we did not get even half the games that they got. It's crazy. There's so much more games over there. And the games are cheaper too. They're a lot more affordable. Look, Panzer Dragoon Part 2. This one I bought recently. For a while I only owned Part 1. So I bought Part 2 probably within the last couple months. This game is called 2DO. You know what? I'm just going to show you what it's called. If you can see that right there. This is a really weird, obscure game. Aru Kotua. Some sort of puzzle game. This is definitely a Japanese only game. It has a really weird name to it. And this one I picked up recently also. Never played it. But I buy games in batches, so I probably got this game with Panzer Dragoon Part 2. I do know I actually got this game with Panzer Dragoon Part 2 as well. Legends of K1 Boxing or Kickboxing, the Best Of collection. No, I'm not sure if this is actually a game or if it's just like a movie disc. But you can see there, that's what it is. It's like a kickboxing type deal, almost like a wrestling game. And then we have the King of Kings K1 Fighting Illusion. And this is definitely a game right here. And this is actually a pretty good game. It's like probably one of the best boxing, kickboxing games on the Sega Saturn. It's actually really good. I did make a video on this recently. Definitely recommend this game if you're looking for a nice hidden gem boxing game or kickboxing game on the Saturn. I have 2 copies of Zap Snowboarding Tricks on the Sega Saturn. And the reason why I have 2 copies is because one of them is like defective or has like a weird mark on it. Let's see here. Alright, so it looks like both of them have some strange things going on. Maybe it's the discs, I don't know. But if you look right there, like towards right here, it's like the disc is deteriorating. And over on this one, like directly right on the disc itself, you can see like there's like a black mark right there. I have yet to play either of these games, so I don't know for sure which one works and which one doesn't work. But I
accidentally bought a second one of these, which is good because I ended up with a copy that was kind of weird, had that weird mark on it. Then we have this game called Slam Dunk. It's called From TV Animation Slam Dunk I Love Basketball. I'm not kidding, that's the name of the game. That's a pretty long title right there. That's ridiculously long. Check that out. And the label art looks very, very anime-ish looking. It's like an anime basketball game. It's quite interesting. I have yet to play this game, but this is also part of the lot that I picked up recently. So we're gonna have to check this game out. And then we have Funky Head Boxers for the Sega Saturn. Got Funky Head Boxers right there. If you look on the back right here, you have the back of the case. It's another crazy, really obscure, strange boxing game. And then we have Robo Pit for the Sega Saturn. It's another like mech type, strange, bizarre fighting game. I'll have to check that out soon. Then of course we have a Japanese copy of Tomb Raider, the first Tomb Raider on the Sega Saturn. So that's not it. I have more Sega Saturn games. What the hell? Where did all my games go? Again, they all disappeared. What the hell is going on here? I got more Sega Saturn games. So let's solve this issue where all my games disappeared. That's it. We're going to show off more games. We have a Sega Rally for the Sega Saturn. I mean, check that out. It's a nice, famous racing game on the Sega Saturn, Sega Rally. What a great game this is. We have the Street Fighter collection for the Sega Saturn. It has Street Fighter 2. I believe it has Street Fighter 02, if I'm not mistaken. It has 2 discs. Then we have Street Fighter 02 Strike. Or Dash, whatever you want to call that. I think they call it Dash over in Japan. And I'm not exactly sure what the difference is between the regular and the Dash version. And we have this game right here. I know that this is a beat 'em up game, but the end label has no English translation. But this is a beat 'em up game that's made by Capcom. You can look it up. It's almost like Golden Axe, kinda. Not quite, but something similar to Golden Axe. And the game does go for quite a bit now. I know back in the day I got it for a good price. And we got Street Fighter 01, the first one. And in the US, this is known as Street Fighter Alpha. But in Japan, it's called Street Fighter 0. And here we have Street Fighter 02. And this is not the Dash or the Strike version of it. This is this plain, regular Street Fighter 02. And it's beyond my knowledge what the difference is. I have no idea. We have X-Men vs. Street Fighter. You can see this. It's one of the few Japanese games where I'm missing some stuff to it. That's how it was sent to me. I don't know why, but coincidentally, Marvel Superhero vs. Street Fighter has the same exact missing stuff. Like there is no inserts or anything like that. It's kind of weird. And we have a really, really obscure game right here. Race Driven for the Sega Saturn. Now I remember playing this game a lot on DOS. I had no idea that this even existed on Sega Saturn. Nice. And I picked this up probably over 10 years ago. It's definitely a hard to find game. It's not that common at all. And once again, this is definitely missing some stuff to it also. That's how it was sent to me. And we have an All Japan Pro Wrestling game featuring virtual fighter characters. This is another nice hidden gem. It's actually a really good wrestling game. And then we have this one right here, Wangan Dead Heat Real Range. So this is a racing game called Wangan Dead Heat. You see all the Japanese ladies right there in the back, and then you have screenshots of everything. And it's 2 discs. I think one disc has like movies on it or something like that. And then we have this game right here. And this is like an Ultraman game. I don't exactly know what Ultraman game this is, but it is an Ultraman game, and it's in a box. So you can see it comes in a box. It has some weight to it too. So if we open the box up, do it very carefully. Pull out the content inside the box. And you can see that this also did not have an end label or insert. It only had like the manual, which I believe it might have came like that. And this requires some sort of special cartridge that you have to plug into the Saturn. Really bizarre. So that's going to go straight back to where it was before. It's in pretty good shape. And I think that this one is rather expensive. I don't remember how much I paid for it because I bought it like years ago. And we have a Nights into Dreams, the Christmas edition. And you can see on the back right here, I don't know if you can see that, but it's showing off the white 3D controller for the Sega Saturn, which in the United States, North America, and Europe it was black. It's pretty cool. Now we have Nights into Dreams. Just a regular copy of it. It's nice. See what else we got here. We got Sonic R for the Sega Saturn. It's definitely a really good game. This actually works really good with the 3D Saturn controller. So anytime you play that game, use the 3D controller. Most people bash the game because the controls are hard. That's the reason why the controls are hard. It's not designed to use for a regular D-pad. Sonic Jam for the Sega Saturn. Another nice, cool hidden gem. Maybe not so hidden gems in Sonic game, but it has Sonic 1, 2, and 3 on it, which is nice. So it's Sotoko Battle 97, so this is basically like a Tokyo highway battle game for the Sega Saturn. It's like Tokyo Extreme Racer, similar to that. It's actually really good. And the frame rate's really nice on it too. I think the frame rate's better on the Saturn than the actual PlayStation version of the game, which I own both. The PlayStation version and the Saturn version. The Saturn version's better. And then we have Saturn Bomberman Fight. It's a great Bomberman game. This is probably one of my favorite Bomberman games. It's your standard Bomberman game, but it has 3D polygons, 3D graphics. You can jump over the place. It's cool. We got Sega Touring Car for the Sega Saturn. This game is like super fast. If you want to play something that's like extremely fast, this is the game you want to play. It happened again. What the hell's going on here? Oh, my game's disappeared. What the hell? This is crazy. I got more games, so it's okay. Let me show off the next batch. This is going to be the last batch of Sega Saturn games that I have. We have this Olympic game right here. It's called Deck Athlete for the Sega Saturn. And Deck Athlete is actually pretty cool. It's not a bad game at all. It has various different sport games in it, or Olympic style games shot put, high jump, 40-meter race. There's a whole list of them on the back right here. I don't know if you can see that. That's one game that will definitely show off eventually. I think I might have actually showed that off. And we have a Dragon Ball Z game right here. I don't know exactly which Dragon Ball Z game this is, but it's a fighting game. It's actually pretty good. That's all I know, to be honest. And then our next game right here, Destruction Derby. And what a great game this is. Destruction Derby is awesome. The Saturn version of this game is actually pretty good. I definitely like the smoke effects better on the Saturn versus the PlayStation. The PlayStation version uses like transparent smoke effects. The Saturn version uses really cool looking sprites that look awesome. Then we have Dynamite Deca right here, Die Hard. And this is a great, nice beat 'em up game right here. What a great game. And Dynamite Deca, definitely one of the best games on the Sega Saturn. Then we have Virtuon Cyber Troopers. Or Cyber Troopers Virtuon, whatever way you want to put it. This is like a mech style game, and you can see like all the little mechs on the back of the case right there. And it's a pretty cool game. Nice mech fighting game. You have one of my favorites right here, Blazing Tornado. Fire Pro-Gaiden plays Blazing Tornado for the Sega Saturn. It's a wrestling game. Now think of this as like Saturday Night Slam Masters, but for Sega Saturn. It's actually really good. It's a really good racing game, or not racing game, wrestling game. Now we have this game right here, Air's Adventure. And this is not the type of import you want to have because it's a piss poor RPG game in Japanese. It's not even that good. So I got this in a lot, like a long time ago, back when I first bought the Saturn. I put it in for like 10 minutes and turned it off, never played it again. So that's Air's Adventures. It is part of the collection, but it's one of those games I will never play. Alone in the Dark Part 2, that is. And Alone in the Dark Part 2 is definitely a cool game on the Sega Saturn. It's your typical Alone in the Dark game. But on Sega Saturn, it's pretty cool to play with the Saturn controller. It's pretty awesome. I hear a dog barking. I don't know if you guys heard that. Got Daytona USA. This is a great classic on the Saturn. I love. You cannot own a Sega Saturn without owning this game. This game is the best right here. Yeah, as soon as you turn it on, you get the awesome Sega Daytona USA music. It's a classic soundtrack. And this is a Deca 4x4 Tough the Truck racing game right here, and that's exactly what it says right there. And I believe in the United States this is known as TNT or TNN off-road truck something. I have no idea, to be honest, off the top of my head. But there is an American version of this game. It's branded by TNN, the old TV channel, Tennessee Nashville Network, whatever the hell it's called. I have no idea. Dead or Alive for the Sega Saturn. It's a really cool fighting game. It's quite a bit different from the PlayStation 1 version. And once again, I like the Sega Saturn version better. Quite often, if there is a Sega Saturn version of a PlayStation game, I like the Sega Saturn version better. There's a few rare instances where I like the PlayStation version better. For example, WrestleMania, the arcade game, I do like that on PlayStation better. The Saturn version is missing rope shadows and a whole bunch of other things going on with it. It doesn't seem complete. But still a good game. Then we have F1 Live Information. It's a F1 racing game for the Sega Saturn. It's not bad. It's actually okay.
And I believe that this is another game that supports the 3D controller for the Saturn, and it actually plays better with that. And this is a game, perhaps the only Sega Saturn game where I picked up in person at a game exchange over in Connecticut. So kudos to Game Exchange, they actually had Japanese Sega Saturn games over there. And it is Fatal Fury Special for the Sega Saturn. It's called Real Bout Fatal Fury Special. Now, I actually did not own this game, but I figured since it was there and the price was actually pretty good, I'll pick it up. They're only charging like $12 for it. And we have Fighter Megamix for the Sega Saturn, probably one of the best fighting games available. You can even play as Hornet from the Daytona USA, and Hornet is an actual car, so you can potentially get your ass kicked by a car in that game. It's actually quite the interesting thing. Got Fighting Vipers for the Sega Saturn, another really cool fighting game, which a lot of the Fighting Viper characters are inside Fighters Megamix, along with Virtual Fighter characters. And then we have a Sega Saturn backup cart right here. I also have a action replay cart, which is actually plugged into the Sega Saturn right now, which I'm going to leave that alone. So you have to make sure that's seated properly in order for it to work. And it's a pain in the ass. And we have a Fire Pro Wrestling S for Sega Saturn, 6-man scramble. So you had a nice, cool Fire Pro Wrestling game for the Sega Saturn. Now, King the Spirit, a racing game. Quite the interesting racing game. King the Spirit 2, there's two of them right here. And these two games are actually pretty detailed for a 3D racing game for the Saturn. They actually look pretty good. And then we have a Gale Racer. Now this is actually like a 2D style. It's not 2D, but it's a 3D racing game made out of sprites, like 2D sprites. So it's like old school. It's pretty good. And then we have Gun Griffin for the Sega Saturn. Probably some of the best graphics you'll see on Sega Saturn. This game is definitely really, really nice looking. Really good graphics. It's a mech robot type game. You just go out and shoot various different objects, all that stuff. Nice combat game. Then we have Last Bronx for the Sega Saturn, another fighting game. This is definitely a fighting game that I have not played too much of, but I own. And it's similar to, I guess, your Virtual Fighter. It's a 3D fighting game, so we'll have to check that out sometime. So I have not played that really that much at all. So we have Magical Hoppers on the Sega Saturn. Now this is known as Pandemonium over here in North America. I believe in Europe it's called Pandemonium also. It's a cool platformer. It's a nice little platformer for Sega Saturn. And it looks pretty good. Definitely makes the 3D effects on the Saturn look really nice. And we have Mobile Suit Gundam. And this is not the greatest Gundam game in the world, but there is no screenshots, no info, no nothing. They put nothing on the back. Just look at that. It's pretty much plain. And I believe this is like a 2D side-scrolling Gundam game, and it's not that good. But these Gundam games are really good. We have Gundam Side Story Part 1 and Gundam Side Story Part 2. These are like first-person shooter MechWarrior style Gundam games. These games are freaking awesome. And they're in special cardboard cases, as you can see there. So they're kind of really unique. And the manuals are attached straight to the cases. And there is a third one also. I don't have the third one at the moment. I'm going to have to hunt that down. But I have Part 1 and Part 2. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to play a Gundam game on Sega Saturn, you want to get these games right here, all three of them. Definitely a lot of cool action. You have to check it out, man. They're good.
If you like first-person shooter style Gundam games, this is it right here. And the controls are actually really, really nice on the Sega Saturn controller. It plays really, really well. It's definitely two of my favorite Sega Saturn games. I cannot recommend it enough. I strongly recommend these games. I mean, if you want to get imports, these are the first two imports you want to get. Really, really cool Japanese exclusives. Anyway, that's Hang On GP95. Really, really good Hang On game. I mean, this works better with the 3D controller. If you're playing it with the regular 6-button controller, you're not going to get anywhere. It's really, really hard to play with that controller. But if you have the 3D Nights into the Dream controller, this works perfect. Alright, we have Henry the Explorer for the Sega Saturn. This is a light gun game. It works perfect with the Saturn light gun, which I do own. And then, of course, we have House of the Dead, which is the final Sega Saturn game I'm showing off right here. And it's a fantastic light gun game, and that is my Sega Saturn collection. I don't think I have any more Sega Saturn games laying around. So you pretty much saw all my Sega Saturn games I have currently right now as of April of 2019. I might get more in the future, I don't know. But that's it for now. It's quite a bit of Sega Saturn games. I hope you kept count, because I did not. So if you enjoyed this episode of Memory Lane, don't forget to comment down below and give it a thumbs up. And let me know what you think about the Sega Genesis shirt. This is an old ass shirt. It's awesome.